Well said, Anne.
My Lords, in rising to speak to this group, I'm going to be slightly unconventional and actually start with the last group in this amendment, 183A, in the name of the Right Reverend Prelate, the Lord Bishop of Manchester, partly because I think it's so important that it doesn't get buried in a rather large and diverse group. Now, this amendment is actually seeking to deliver what was essentially the Right Reverend Prelate's private members' bill, which we debated a few months ago, at which I spoke in favour, to ensure that care leavers, the universal credit regulations are amended so that care leavers turning 18 receive the same level of universal credit as as anyone receives at the age of 25. Now, I think it was the noble lady Baroness Tyler just said, these are young people who have no access to a bank of mum and dad. They have no cushion. And expecting them to live on a level of universal credit that actually reflects what other people who probably have more support, not necessarily, but probably have. This is a really modest measure. As I said in the second reading, it's a humane, constructive and practical step. And although this shouldn't be the reason for it, I think it's very clear that this would end up saving the state money by ensuring people have a little bit more support and they don't fall through the cracks and fall the very long way, as we know the reality of the stats show they very often do. Now, I went to that first also because in that debate in the second reading I spoke about the wonderful Wales scheme that's been trialling universal basic income for care leavers, set at a really quite decent level. But one of the interesting things about that was the only condition that was put on those care leavers was that they had to take one session of financial education, which is where I come back to the noble lady Baroness Tyler's Amendment 95, to which I attach my name. The interesting thing is I've heard anecdotal reports. We haven't had the written reports from the UBR trials yet, but I've heard anecdotal reports that one of the offers was they could take more financial education, acknowledgement that they did have a significant amount of money available to them, and virtually every person in this scheme took the extra financial education. So I think it might look a bit specialised to have a particular amendment here, but it's such an important factor. And I'll also point to the fact that this is a broader issue. The care leavers are obviously people who particularly need the financial education. But I'll note the fact that the Financial Times Christmas appeal this year was actually to raise money to get financial education for British young people, which really is an indictment of failures across our whole system to educate young people. But it's very clear that care leavers are people who particularly need it and deserve to get it and can hugely benefit from it. I come finally to the Amendment 99, which appears in my name, which, as the noble lady Baroness Tyler said, calls for a publication of a national offer. And I think it's really important to sort of draw the lines here between national offer and local offer. What we should have with a national offer is a foundation that no care leaver should fall below. That doesn't mean that we mightn't hope that local areas might be able to do more than that if they have the resources or the capacity, or indeed that they may acknowledge a particular issue, a particular problem, particular local circumstances, and the local offer will vary from the national, but it shouldn't fall below the foundation of the national level that meets the basics that should be available to every care leaver. So that's the intention of this amendment.